Do not dumb yourself down for an audience just because you don't understand them. People are very smart, they're very intellectual, and if you dumb it down, yes, they'll be dumb with you. But if you give them real material, they will enjoy it just as much. When you go on the road with somebody who is a known headliner, who has huge audiences, the audience is there to laugh because they're waiting for their favorite person. So yes, because all of your stuff is killing, and I've seen that with a few guys where they had to learn. They went on the road with a major headliner for years, and then when they got into their own shows, they didn't have the cadence for just a show. They had a cadence for big theaters, and arenas. So when they would just perform at a regular spot, it would be off, and they had to retrain, and some of them can't. But that all just comes down to you retraining yourself. You have to constantly learn. You have to constantly train. You got to constantly see how many ways you could deliver a joke, material, your stage presence in order to find you, so if you continuously challenge yourself to push it differently, then you have no problem. Like for a year in my comedy, when I first started, I'll break it down. Here we go. When I first started, I was doing a lot of Latino jokes because that's what I knew. I am Latino, and that's the shows I was getting. And then when I went to Chicago and Miami, well, they weren't hitting because I was doing Mexican jokes. Well, the Chicago Mexicans are very different, and there's no Mexicans really in Miami. And then when I did Louisiana with the Nolans, they didn't get any of it because there's not Mexicans there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying that in general. There might be like one or two, but there's not that base. So then I had to learn how to tell a joke that wasn't Latino based, and I had to develop this material. Then I ran into the wall of being only seen as a Latino comic and only getting Cinco de Mayo gigs or Mexican Independence Day or whatever, even though we don't celebrate it. So I couldn't get over that hump. I was not getting offers for just regular shows because they only saw me as a Latino comic. And in my head, I was like, no, I'm a comedian that just happens to be Latino. Don't put me in this box. But that's what they have to do. They had to put you on a box. So then for 10 years, I never mentioned it. All of my sets I performed on stage, I wanted to challenge myself and the audience to, especially like Latino audiences, because the other thing was I was told by comics, when you perform in front of Latinos, be stupid, be dumb, because they don't get intellectual jokes. And I took that as an insult because I'm like, well, wait a minute. I grew up on the same stuff you guys grew up on. I watched the same things. I've seen Coffee and Cigarettes. I've seen Cube. I've seen Little Miss Sunshine. I understand art, right? So my goal was, A, I'm going to challenge myself to do material that's not easy. B, I'm going to make you realize that my humor is not based in who you perceive me to be, right? My humor is my humor. You wouldn't be able to tell what I am from my humor other than I'm a man, right, who tells jokes. And then C, I wanted to show the audience, especially like Hispanic audiences, and I want to show the other comics that do not dumb yourself down for an audience just because you don't understand them. People are very smart, they're very intellectual, and if you dumb it down, yes, they'll be dumb with you. But if you give them real material, they will enjoy it just as much, And dumbing it down is actually more hurtful to your own career, your own writing style. And I wanted to prove that. And I did. Then Trump got elected, and I was like, okay, now it's time for me to talk about me being Latino and putting it out there. So, and then for 1 year, I decided to write only clean material. So for a year, I only performed a clean set, and then for 1 year, I did 30 minutes of political jokes just to prove I could do it. And it's just that, it's constantly testing yourself.